Hi, I'm Miglena from thepoledancer.com and this is a conditioning workout for straight leg lifts. The goal is clean inverts and beautiful leg flares on the pole with straight legs. When it comes to inverts, I recommend working first on your technique and core strength. Check out my other workout videos here on YouTube. There's one on the pole and one off the pole. These two videos are designed specifically to help you build strong inverts with proper technique. You're gonna need some tools for today's workout: yoga blocks and a really thick resistance band. My favorite exercise, also from Cirque Physio, for making these big quad muscles work to straighten the leg, is with a thick resistance band. Wrap it around the pole, make a loop. You can also use a very sturdy furniture, like a heavy table, and wrap the band around your knee or slightly above your knee on your thigh. Walk far out until you feel that the band is pulling you back. You should feel a lot of resistance. Lean slightly forward and try to straighten the leg all the way. Bend and straighten, lean forward. It should feel hard to straighten the leg. That's how much your quads are working. If it's too hard, you can stay in an upright position and focus on only straightening the leg. For 5 to 10 times, change the leg, walk back, keep the weight on one leg, engage your glutes and your core, and try to straighten the leg. When you're bending the leg, make sure that you do it slowly and controlled and not just disengaging the muscles. 2 more times. Last time. Next, we'll stretch our straddle. Open your legs in a comfortable straddle. Keep your back straight, sit tall. If this is too hard, then you can also sit against the wall or against the pole. From here, we're gonna engage the glutes, your butt cheeks, and you're gonna try to turn your legs out. Knees pointing to the ceiling and back. So we're doing this turnout just by squeezing the butt cheeks together. Your quads and legs, though, are also engaged. Good. From here, flex your toes and bend your knees slightly. And just like in the previous exercise, we're going to straighten the legs and point the toes. Bend, flex, straighten, point. Make sure you're not rounding the back. Stay straight. You can even think about arching your back. Make sure you keep the turnout of your legs the entire time. And you're engaging all the muscles. Good. If you can, open your straddle a little bit more. Sit tall, arms to the side. We're gonna lean side to side, moving our entire upper body and trying to find space in the hips. But keep the sitting bones on the floor. And from here, we're going to keep that turnout, engage the glutes. We're gonna try, if it's too hard, you can close your legs a little bit, and we're gonna try to lean forward and hold here. So your glutes and your spine are holding you back, preventing you from tipping forward. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands on the floor. Tilt the hips back and forth, belly in, and arch your back. In, out, and stay in this arched position and hold. If you want, you can also walk a little bit further to the front with your hands. And I also like to tilt my body here side to side and find a little bit of movement and motion in the static position. And walk the same way back. From here, we're gonna actively close the legs in a pike, and actively we're gonna open them, always keeping that turn out. So engage the glutes, turn the knees out, and open the legs. Close, open, close, open. For 5 times, and then close your legs and lay down on your elbows. The next 2 exercises are for your chopper invert. Lift your legs to the ceiling, open them in a comfortable straddle, legs turned out, knees pointing away from each other, lower back is on the floor, your core is engaged. From here we're going to bring the legs tiny bit away from your body just to make your abs work even more. And we're going to bring our legs back to our body, tuck the pelvis in, try to lift the hips by just tucking the pelvis in until your hips are all the way up to the ceiling and your toes are ideally touching the floor. But if they are not touching the floor, that's also fine. Now we're gonna slowly let the hips go back down to the floor. And then bring the legs further away from your midline. Now try not to swing your legs to go up. Try to do it by just tucking the pelvis in, and you can also help yourself with the hands, push into the floor, into a chopper. Slowly down. Legs out, and to your shoulders. Tuck the pelvis in. Try to do it slowly and controlled. Now, even though this is quite hard for your abs and for your core, try to still focus on keeping your legs completely straight by engaging your quads as well as your glutes. Legs are still in a turnout. Last time. Good, and legs down. Finally, we're gonna do full straddle circles into a chopper. So we're gonna have the legs a little bit more open. And we first circle with the legs, then lift the hips. Same way back, first the hips down, then the legs. Let's go. Push the lower back into the floor, tuck the pelvis in, engage your glutes, legs in a turnout. We're gonna start by opening the legs on the floor into a straddle as much as you can, and then eventually they're gonna lift off the floor, and you're gonna start tucking the pelvis in. You can also push with the hands into the floor to lift the hips up. Here you can stay with the legs open or close them to complete the circle. And again, first hips down. And then the legs down through the side. Keep the lower back on the floor. Open the legs. Lift the legs, tuck the pelvis in. Hips up. Close. Open. Hips down. And circle with the legs. It helps to exhale when you lift the hips up. And exhale when you bring them down. I know this is very intense for the core and everything, but try to focus on keeping your legs completely straight while you do this. And if this is too hard, you could also have one leg bent and focus on keeping the other leg straight. And then change the other leg. Half straddle up. Half straddle down. The last two exercises of this workout are for your leg lifts and hip flexor strength. You need yoga blocks, and you also need either a pole or a wall. Preferably, you can use the pole. We don't need the blocks for now, just sit with the back against the pole or the wall. If you're sitting on the pole, grab with both hands above your head and close your elbows. If you're sitting against the wall, just keep your hands on the floor. We're gonna engage our quads and lift each leg separately. Make sure that your lower back is not rounding while you're doing this. Open up your chest and arch your back a little bit as you pull out on the pole. Inhale, exhale, lift. And change. And change. Even just a little bit of the floor counts. If this is too hard though, you can place a block under your hips to elevate yourself. And this is gonna make it much easier. To make it harder, have your hands on the floor and maybe even lean forward, but keep your back straight and in an arch. You can also use a pillow or a towel behind your back to make sure that you are not rounding your back, and try to lift from here. The further to the front you go with your upper body, the harder it is. And the less your legs are gonna go up. Around 10 times for each leg. And then try to lift both legs together. It's a bit easier if you use the pole. Last exercise. Open your legs in a straddle. Just a comfortable straddle, not your widest straddle. And then place your yoga blocks on the inside of your legs. Make sure you're sitting tall and straight. You can again place a towel or a pillow behind your back. And from here, lift one leg up, move it on the other side of the block, and back. Up, move, back. You can have your hands on the side of your legs. You can have them back or in front. Whatever works best for you and prevents you from rounding your lower back too much. If this is too hard, close your straddle a little bit more. Also, the yoga blocks have different heights. If you place them like that, they are lower, which is a bit easier. If you place them like this, you have to lift your leg much higher, so it's harder. And again, to make it easier, you can elevate yourself by placing a third yoga block under your hips or by grabbing up on the pole. If one leg at a time feels fine for you, try to do both legs at the same time. Inhale, exhale, lift, and back. If your legs are bending, this means that you have to make it a bit easier for you. Otherwise, you're compromising the lines and the form over the strength. To progress to harder variations, you can place the blocks on the outside of your legs. This will make you open your straddle a little bit more. The more open the straddle, the harder it is. I also recommend to keep the turnout of your straddle. Knees pointing out, your glutes are engaged. And then you can work in your end range of motion by opening your maximum straddle or close to maximum and have the blocks on the inside a little bit further out towards your feet, and then work here in your end range of motion. Again, you can make it harder by lifting the blocks to the highest. Does one side feel easier than the other? It does for me. Now this is the end range and it's the hardest. Only do it if you're already feeling strong in your leg lifts. There are many more exercises, especially on the pole, that will help you improve your leg lines during inverts. That's why I recommend my recorded lessons from the series Straight Leg Inverts. Just send me a message on thepoledancer.com/contact if you're interested. I recommend also working with my pole curriculum, which is a complete list of all pole moves divided by levels. To get free access to it, go to thepoledancer.com/curriculum. You'll find videos with variations, progressions, combos, and even a tutorial for each move. You can check if there are any gaps in your pole progress, and you can get ideas for your next training or your next pole routine. You can always come back to it to check if you're on the right track. Get it on thepoledancer.com/curriculum.